here, Serap sues Akpabio for failing to reverse Natasha's suspension. Prioritize solving economic woes, stop threatening Nigerians, AI tells federal government. And lastly here, sanitize save PDP by expelling weaker NWC charged.
Okay, starting from Amebo newspapers. Anti-Tinubu video. Amnesty International condemns alleged threats against NYSC member. Leadership should be about service, attributed to Ogun DG. We cannot fair to Ijaw Nation, Ijaw People's Assembly. DSS NIA probing Natasha Akpoti's unauthorized presence at IPU meeting in New York. Nigeria has a lot to lose if Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso don't return to democracy, attributed to our CDS. You are imposing sanctions on Nigeria over terrorism funded by your U.S. aid. Fani Kayode slams the U.S. Moving over to salient times. Buhari protected terrorists, stopped military from going after his favorite criminals. Obasanjo. Serap sues Akpabio over failure to reverse unlawful suspension of Natasha Akpoti. Police inspector shoots himself dead in Ogun. Petron identifies key factors behind rising petrol truck crushes. Fire. Adamawa police arrests two suspected ritualists for killing beheading minor. FG must stop threatening Nigerians for criticizing governments, attributed to Amnesty International. There are drug addicts, vagabonds among traditional rulers, attributed to Obasanjo. DSS NIA probing Natasha Akpoti's unauthorized presence at IPU meeting in New York, says report. Lastly, reps recover 28.7 billion naira for federation accounts in 7 days. Moving over to Platform Times. 26,000 children, youths imprisoned yearly in Nigeria. UNICEF raises alarm. 74% underage inmates on awaiting trial. Nigerian Navy seizes 13,800 liters of petrol, 71 bags of rice in Lagos. Military kills 31 bandits, destroys camp in Katsina operations. EFCC recovers 365.4 billion naira, secures 4,101 convictions in 2024. Obasanjo lacks moral rights to criticize Tinubu over Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project, attributed to Mahi. Kidnappers have set up 55 camps across southwest freed Afenifere chieftain. Soldiers allegedly beat Eco disco workers to hospitalized over power supply. Core member faces 30-day extension over criticism of Tinubu. Lastly, Senator Shaibu Sally's how I combine stomach infrastructure with education empowerment. Moving over to Vanguard. Global trade war. Naira value depreciates amid forest outflows. CBN intervenes with $500 million as Naira depreciates to 1,600 to a dollar. 1,600 Naira to a dollar. Currency dealers laments dollar scarcity, projects further Nigerian depreciation. Banks not selling dollars to us. BDC operators seek CBN's intervention. Rivers Government Assembly in war of words over budget presentation. Fubara frustrating implementation of Supreme Court judgment attributed to Rivers Assembly. Serap sues Akpabio over Senator Akpoti Uduaha's suspension. Doctors on Ondo businessman wife daughter demand 30 million naira ransom. Lastly, we won't follow El Rufai to SDP, attributed to Lamido. And lastly, The Nation, Lamido, El Rufai driven by emotion. And lastly, Akpabio's cooperation and collaboration practices embody our democracy.
All right, Dr. Yanuka, I think it's obvious where we'll begin. Major stories here concerning the rivers crisis, developments in Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduahan's case, and of course, this other one here on El Rufai, SDP, and the PDP conundrum. So which of these stories would you think you would like to react to first?
I'd like to react, first of all, to the rivers brouhaha. I ought to use that word this morning. And it's a word that I also love using.
Yes.
It's really funny what's happening in them. And I want to underline that word funny, what is happening in Rivers State. It is also a pity that we're seeing stuff of that nature in Rivers State. What it goes to show is that politicians don't care about the welfare of the people. Let us understand the implication of not allowing the governor to represent the budget. Remember, the House of Assembly, they are claiming that they have been suffocated, battered, humiliated. Okay? These are the same people, as far as I know, who declared on the House that they had defected from PDP to APC. Okay? This happened on the House. Of course, we know what happens with our judicial system. That's why a lot of people actually, you know, they cast a lot of aspersions on our judiciary on account of the inconsistency in judgments that we receive. When you look at the law spells something that is actually different from what the judge. I'm a layman, I'm a lay person, and I'm speaking from the perspective of a lay person. But what we thought the law provides, or the Constitution provides, is that as soon as someone defects, then he loses his position as far as that party is concerned. But is that what we're seeing in the Nigerian nation? The answer is no. Okay, let's look at the facts. One, there was a Supreme Court judgment, okay, that mandated Fubara to present the budget. Of course, the claim is that the budget has expended, particularly the 2024 budget. In fact, it constitutes a criminal offense if it is looked at critically based on that Supreme Court judgment. Then Fubara actually said, in his words, and from what we heard from the spokesperson, they said they are going to abide by the Supreme Court decision. So I think it was a miscalculation on the part of the Amawele led.
Yes, that's for the 2025 budget.
Yes, Amawele Assembly, because what Fubara did was he came to the House of Assembly to make the presentation of the budget. He was locked out quickly, and then after that, there was a press release to the effect. He also spoke and said, look, I have been there, but whatever happens, we will return back to the House of Assembly. So what followed after? On the day that he transmitted the letter to the effect, because that was one of the claims that the State House of Assembly was holding on to, that he did not transmit the letter, you know, to inform them that he was going to make a presentation. You know, they quoted the rules and the laws and everything. So he followed it strictly. On the day he transmitted the letter, that was the day that the Assembly went on recess. So they could not formally submit the letter informing the State House of Assembly that, oh, the governor was coming to present the budget on a specific date. So they went on indefinite recess. They're just playing games. And that's why I said it is funny. The same people are now turning around to claim, you know, that it is Fubara, the governor, that is actually frustrating the effort, you know, to implement the law, to implement the Supreme Court judgment. I don't know how that pans with you or how that sinks in with you. But for me, it is quite evident that these people are just playing a game, very funny game. And I mean, Nigerians cannot be hoodwinked to believe that what they are saying is true. Because what they are saying, from all we have seen so far, what they are saying, they're just making up these stories to keep frustrating, you know, the people of Rivers State. Not necessarily, because people have not been paid their salaries.
Yes.
Teachers have not been paid their salaries. No projects can go on. The ones that were ongoing before this time have been stalled. And the people are the ones that will suffer the most.
You know, the Punch doesn't hold back when referring to the Assembly. The Punch will say pro-weak lawmakers. And that's like something we have overlooked. Yeah. How can you be in the House of Assembly and they're calling you pro-somebody lawmakers? That already removes every kind of credibility and objectivity from everything that you do.
Picture, yeah.
Yes. So we'll still come back to that. But
Mama, I want to come from this perspective, right? Is this the House now trying to frustrate Governor Fubara just to set up an impeachment, just to find an excuse to set up? Because apparently, okay, he was like, I want to make things right now. Maybe I did the right things the wrong way. And I want to follow the path of the right things and the right way. So I'm going to apply everything the Supreme Court said, and he has started with the steps. First, the first was an invitation, though they gave him ultimatum up to 2 times, 48 hours and all that, which he failed, apparently. But he offered a hand of friendship, offered an invitation, the House, which they declined, saying that, hey, the way he came and all that, you don't go to social media to invite us, it has to come properly and whatnot, right? That one being said.
Remember,
so he went to...
What led him to transmit that letter via WhatsApp?
Was because of the acceptance, right?
No, because the House had declared a recess. The thing was brought physically on the day they declared a recess.
Yeah.
Remember what the House of Assembly, they are saying. They said that Fubara should produce where there was an acknowledgement to that letter. I don't know if you understand. Knowing very well that, of course, they declared a recess and, of course, gave instructions even to the staff.
But there were 2 separate. The first one, their issue with it was, like you said, was that it was sent via social media channels. So that was the invitation for the Rivers Assembly to come to government's house to discuss matters around, the issues.
Okay, and they said no, they won't go.
Because it was social media channels, were not
via
social media. Then the second one was that it was actually delivered, and the government house has proof that the letter was delivered. But then FCT minister, yes, he comes into the picture now, said that he should have waited for an acknowledgement, that he went there uninvited, that he was locked out because he was uninvited. And what stopped him from putting a call across to Martin Zamaule to call for that? He was asked a question by journalists, to be fair to him, at the media parliament. He said that Fubara went there uninvited, playing to the gallery, trying to win public sympathy. So that's him pretty much what would appear to be emboldening the Rivers House of Assembly.
Being a spokesperson.
That's why they are pro-Wike lawmakers.
Yeah.
Just like you explained. I mean, I agree with you absolutely. I mean, you can't, it actually denigrates their integrity. That's just the truth of it. Because when you keep referring to an assembly as pro-Wike, and we also know what led to all these from the beginning, we know the role that the FCT minister currently is playing. The idea, just like Orji said, is ultimately they want to have him impeached. That's all.
Okay, but let's come to his utterances regarding even the media parley and the way he spoke, more especially about Ijaw people, right?
That's FCT minister.
Yeah, FCT minister talking about Wike and all this, right? Is it not too much an overbearing for him, seeking a lot of personal interests other than the interests of the Rivers people, right? You made the utterances and the Ijaw people are hitting back. Asari Dokubo, the Ijaw nation, and they're even saying, yes, we're going to protect our son and whatnot. Is this not going to take us back to those days of dark river state? The Niger Delta as a whole, by the way.
Yeah, in another forum, I made this very clear. That the people are the ones that are suffering. This is Wike's character. I don't think anybody can change him. He's very, I'm sorry to use the word, but he's a bit too crude. He's not, in my own affirmation, or in my own estimation, he's not very, very calculated when he's making certain statements. He says it the way he feels. So he comes out very harsh and brash. That is it. But for someone who occupies an elevated office as he does, I believe that he should be he should think through before he says whatever he says. But this is his character. Right from even when he was, he's a very tough person.
Yes.
That's the truth. In fact, I admired his leadership when he was Rivers State governor. Remember, there was a time the federal government wanted to arrest a particular judge. Okay,
yes.
I think his house was
ransacked. I think the chief judge, the woman.
Exactly. You remember the role that Wike played. He was a hero to many Nigerians because they loved the way, he makes sure that he protected. So he's a very tough person. He's not someone who is fearful. He's someone who, whenever he takes a decision, he fights like a lion. That is the truth about him. So these qualities might be good in certain instances, then it might not be very good in some other instances. Like in this case, the people are the ones suffering. The teachers are crying because they need to be paid their salaries. You understand? And the State House of Assembly ought to be very sensitive if you're representing the people of Rivers State indeed. Right? So why are you not doing everything that is possible to see that, you know, it's about vendetta? You understand? To see that the people that you're representing, you know, that they get the benefit of your stay in that House of Assembly. So it's all about vendetta. It's all about political interest. So they've been given instructions, as far as I know, and that I mean, we've seen that all the time. When Wike speaks, and of course, they begin to act in a particular manner, the link is just there. I think there's this proverb that says that is it the crow crowed in the night, and then in the morning, you know, the child
Okay,
died.
the witch cried in the night.
Okay, the witch cried in the night, and in the morning.
Baby died in the morning.
Yeah, the baby died in the morning.
So who would not say that the
so
witch
you
killed
see,
the
there's a
child?
link, there's a connection between Wike's utterances and the actions of the State House of Assembly. All right, and then we cannot continue like that.
It's just a lot of confusion, like for the House to say that they never received a letter, that the governor should provide an acknowledgement. So it just puts a spanner in the entire situation, because the last week we were, you know, abuzz with news about the governor being locked out and that he sent a letter, then Wike said that he should have been invited first and waited for acknowledgement. Now we are hearing that they did not even receive any letter in the first place. So it's a lot of confusion, and to start to break it down, I think will just leave us more confused, because they have to speak for themselves, because at this point, it's not making any sense. But let's look at another story now. Serap sues Akpabio for failing to reverse Natasha's suspension. I would like to gain your input first and foremost about...
Because of a violation of the Senate rules, okay? That she behaved, they gave a particular instance where she was shouting, you understand what I'm saying? Trying to get the Senate President's attention to, you know, we cannot kill this bill, we cannot kill this bill. I don't know if you've also heard that version of the story. So they're saying that that's part of the reason why she was suspended, you know. And you know, when things of this nature happen, you know, there are a lot of undercurrents. You don't know what is fueling what. Though I have my own view about Natasha's accusation. I don't know, maybe because of my own personal experience. I always say, you know, one of the things that, and of course, I do not mean to demean women. You're a woman, and you know how much I regard you, you know. But I know that one of the things that women often hold on to when they're in very tight positions, or when they feel that they are being mistreated, is to, you know, cling on the harassment, sometimes the sexual harassment, or the abuse, you understand, the physical abuse, and so they just grab and cling onto it so much, you know. Because if you look at Natasha's case, I don't know whether, because even the narrative she gave, she said Akpabio held her hand and walked her around while the husband was trailing. And then in a particular room, he now said, if you can come here and spend some quality time with me. You understand? So holding hand, does that actually translate to sexual harassment? I don't know if you understand. Or then asking her to come there, spend quality time. Of course, for someone who holds a very dignified position as a Senate President, one wouldn't expect that he should do stuff of that nature. Okay? But this is what she's saying. She has evidence. We haven't seen the evidence. We need to see it. That's my own general view. So I have my doubts. That's the point I'm making. I have my doubts that whether Natasha was actually... We need to see concrete evidence to the effect of her claim. Because when you make a claim, you must have next evidence to support your claim. And then we can look at the evidence and tie it. It's called warrants. By the time we begin to look at it from a logical perspective, we can now say, oh, yes, indeed, Natasha was sexually... Of course, we are the public opinion. That's us. We're talking about public sentiments. That's us. We are not the court of law.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether 6 months suspension, for me, I felt it was a bit too harsh, in my view, if that was exactly what she did. And then I understand that there have been other instances where people have not also been punished, or, you know, such sledgehammer, you understand what I'm saying, you know, used on them. So why is Natasha's case different? So there are two parts of this story. Okay? And then look at the story he just read now. The representation at IPU. The Senate is saying we didn't give her
authorization?
It's at the National Assembly.
Yeah.
They're saying, look, we didn't give her the authorization to go and represent Nigeria at IPU. Of course, she spoke about Nigeria. She spoke about her ordeal. You know, she had an opportunity of presenting her case before the IPU. That means that Nigeria has come under the international, what is it called now, searchlight, you understand, as far as that matter is concerned. Whether we like it or not, this accusation has done a lot of damage to Nigeria's image. Not that Nigeria's image has been
wonderful,
been very good or all that, but then it has actually contributed in denting it the more. Because the way we look at issues in this country is not the same way that the international community looks at issues. They look at issues, you know, from a very different perspective as we do. They don't tolerate stuff of that nature. They are very, very, very stern when it comes to handling natures of that issues of those natures. And that is why you see, even in cases where you have celebrities, you have celebrities maybe in the sports arena or even in the music or video industry, I mean the Hollywood industry, you see that when they have cases, it's usually tilts against the man until there is evidence to show, you understand, that actually those accusations are actually false. People have lost their livelihood, people have gone to jail on account of such allegations. Sometimes they are just, at the end of the day, after several years, they find out that maybe the person comes and confesses, I lied. I've seen stuff of that nature.
I want to ask a question, right? When you talk about sexual harassment at this point, like in this Natasha's case right now, what could actually be sexual harassment? Is it physical, being verbalized, or the contents of probably text messages and whatnot?
I think the definition of sexual harassment can be quite broad. You understand? Okay, I'll use this instance. I remember there was a time I was actually employed, not Dakota State University. I was going to join them sometime several years ago. I remember the professor called me and said that what he does, he was just trying to give me some kind of orientation. He doesn't even shake hands with his female colleagues. He doesn't shake hands with their students. If you offer your hand, he will put his hands in his pocket. Because what they consider sexual harassment in that climate, if you shake someone wrongly or even tap the person's back, touch somebody, you know, very lightly, the person can actually sue you for sexual harassment. But when in the context of our nation, what is sexual harassment? There are certain things we grew up with. We need to look at the laws critically. So when I speak to you, I say, oh, Natasha, you look very lovely, you're very beautiful. I really like you. I'd like to take you out to lunch. So you might just say go and sue me and say, that I have sexually harassed you. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Okay? Oh, I like the way you walk. And that is sexual harassment. So we need to look at it within the context of our culture. I don't know what the law provides in our nation, you know, the definition. So, but I believe that it is quite flexible. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is quite flexible. And it's something that should be proven before a law court. What actually constitutes sexual harassment? We're not talking about rape in this case. You understand what I'm saying? Because rape is an entirely different thing. But we're talking about sexual harassment. If you say someone sexually harassed you, what does it really mean? People have been accused of sexual harassment, even in school, in institutions of learning. I know cases where even the person has never met the girl that was saying that she sexually harassed the man, that the lecturer sexually harassed her, and they had never seen before. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So what I'm saying in essence is that people make up stories, and we shouldn't, you know, of course, even in Natasha, sorry.
Even in the case of the Unizik.
In Natasha's case, remember Reina Omokri?
Yeah.
Yes.
They had an issue.
And there were other cases, you know, in that line. So it begins to, you know, raise a lot of doubts in our minds. Someone like me, I'm very cynical and critical, maybe because of my own training as a journalist. So I'm very cynical, I'm very skeptical. I don't believe everything you say. I have to dig. You know, the essence of journalism is verification. If you cannot show me, we are like the doubting Thomases. When we don't see, that's what we say. So if we don't see, we don't agree. Because someone can rise up tomorrow and accuse you, you understand, falsely. And then because of somebody's words, then you go into the jail, you go into the cooler, just for something that you have no idea about.
Exactly. All right, I think we're already out of time, Dr. Nyanuka. Time flies, and there are so many other stories that we could have looked at. But we'll continue this conversation on another date. Thank you so much for joining the show this morning.
We didn't talk about the UCOR member.
Yes, unfortunately because of time. But I think you touched it a little when you came in.
Yes,
your
well,
own experience
the girl, yeah, she has a right to complain as far as I'm concerned, because the federal government made a promise and they didn't keep that promise. And we should look at it from the perspective of the fact that, you know, things have gone up. I think inflation has eaten so deeply into people's pockets. So please, the federal government, even if it's just 30 days, no problem. She can, you know, that 30 days, I don't think it will kill her. But the federal government should do the needful. Begin to pay the youth corps members 77,000 as the federal government promised.
All right, thank you so much for joining the show this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me over.
We'll see how matters develop.
Thank you.
On that note, we'll go on a quick break now. When the morning show returns, we take reports from around the region. Please stay with us.